Remember when we were young and were still trying to figure out which anime was better between Tokyo Ghoul and Attack on Titan? Kids would be at each other's necks to prove their point. But while all that was going on, there was another anime running on Cartoon Network that became a huge part of our childhood. Beyblade Metal Fusion was the whole reason why we started collecting Beyblades in the first place. Real quick, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. Alright, now buckle up, because we're about to let it rip once again. Before diving into the whole action part, we need to welcome some of the characters that made the anime so riveting. Starting with the main protagonist, Ginka Hagane. This guy had the flashiest hair and the biggest fighting spirit because whenever he would tell his Beyblade Pegasus to stay strong, we would be screaming alongside him too. His whole blue and red color scheme went so well with his Beyblade that something about him just clicked. Next up, we have the first of many rivals that Ginka had, Kyoya Tatagami. I mean, come on, he looked like a bad guy from his first appearance. We can leave out the part that he turned over a new leaf and joined the good guys for another time. But back to the point. He was a tall, lean guy who had tan skin and looked like he belonged in a Tarzan spin-off. His Beyblade was Rock Leone, and it was great at dishing out a ton of pain. Now we have another big alleged villain whose name was Ryuga. This one was a sadistic unit, at least for the first season. He was one of those guys who believed that it was survival of the fittest, and whatever he was doing was correct.
I only poo-poo farted for the good of humanity.
L-Drago, the Forbidden Beyblade, was like icing on the cake. Put them all together and we have a freshly made antagonist to complement our still naive Ginka. To end this short list, we have Kenta Yumiya, Jinka's best friend. Every main protagonist needs a side character that stays with them throughout the anime. And Kenta, despite being the equivalent of a minion who knew how to speak English, was a great party member for him. He was initially really timid and lacked skill, but being with Ginka helped him grow and become a fierce blader over the episodes. There were many more characters, like Madoka, Tsubasa, Hikaru, and Yu, but we're going to be meeting them all soon in the story. Now that we've got all the actors reintroduced, let's begin Jinka's journey to become the best blader in the world. You remember Kenta, right? The tiny, minion-like guy we just introduced? The anime starts by putting him in a sticky situation from the start. The little guy just won his new Beyblade Sagittario and was going around all happy and giddy. Unfortunately for him, the face hunters decided to gang up on him and make him fight an unfair match. He thought that he was done for, up until Ginka showed up with his Storm Pegasus and defeated all the face hunters, who ran with their tails between their legs saying that he made a huge mistake. And voila! The friendship between Kenta and Ginka officially began. Well, it was more like an idol and fanboy relationship, but nevertheless, moving on. Benkei, the second in command of the face hunters, invites Ginka to fight them all, which of course the hot-headed dimwit agrees to and manages to beat all 100 of the runts before Kyoya, their leader, showed up and challenged him. But the fight wasn't going to happen just now. Here's where Ginka meets Madoka, Kenta's friend who specialized in repairing bays. She told Ginka how Pegasus was so badly worn that it would be easily defeated in the next big bay battle. She fixed it up almost completely and would have been done with it if not for Ginka and his addiction to battles. He took the half-repaired Pegasus to fight Kyoya and somehow, after a really close battle, managed to beat him. Oh, and there was a cameo of our great friend and compadre, Ryuga, at the end of the episode, looking over the two bladers. After defeating Kyoya, Kenta got worried that Ginka was getting bored not having any strong bladers to battle. So the kid decided to man up and face his own idol. Surprisingly, the stamina-type Sagittario almost beat the attack-type Pegasus. Ginka commended him and told him how close of a fight it was. Oh, and also, Ginka wasn't going to leave the town, so Kenta's reason for the battle was totally pointless. Doji gives Benkei a new Beyblade, Dark Bull, hoping it will help him defeat Ginka. Excited about his new Bey, Benkei challenges Ginka to a battle. When Ginka and his friends arrive at the battle location, they notice strange holes in the ground. Suddenly, a Beyblade appears, leading them to Benkei. A fierce battle between Ginka and Benkei starts, causing the warehouse to fall apart. Ginka finds himself in danger when the ceiling collapses, but Benkei heroically saves him, although he struggles to explain why he did it, obviously hinting at him being another dimwit in the anime. A newcomer named Tetsuya has been causing trouble in town by damaging the bays of bladers he defeats. Madoka, furious about this, sets out to confront him, with Ginka and Kenta following behind. While searching, Kenta discovers that one of his friends has fallen victim to Tetsuya's actions. Kenta challenges Tetsuya to a battle, but finds himself in trouble until Ginka arrives to help. However, the situation takes a serious turn when Tetsuya kidnaps Madoka. Ginka then defeats Tetsuya to rescue the tiny damsel in distress.
Oh no! Someone's in trouble! I'll save you!
Here's another character introduction. Hikaru Hasama comes to town and Benkei asks her to defeat Ginka. While this is happening, Kenta wonders if Sagittario can perform a special move, and Madoka explains that it might be possible. Hikaru agrees to Benkei's request, but Ginka is feeling unwell. However, to keep up the appearance of the challenge, Kenta battles in Jinka's place without Hikaru knowing who she's up against. Benkei trains Kenta to take on Hikaru, while Madoka gives Kenta a new part for his Bey to enhance his special move. Meanwhile, Hikaru learns from Tetsuya who her true opponent is, and sets out to find the real Ginka Hagane. However, her search is interrupted when she encounters Kenta, who faces her again to keep her away from his best friend. Doji sends Kyoya to Wolf Canyon to test his skills. Meanwhile, Mercy, a member of the Dark Nebula group, kidnaps Ginka and tricks him into thinking he's on a TV show, when in fact, he is also being tested. Kyoya returns from Wolf Canyon and Benkei eagerly welcomes his old friend back, urged on by Kenta. However, Kyoya's training becomes evident during a battle, and despite having Kenta by his side, Benkei is defeated as Leon's power destroys the warehouse they're battling in. Now Kyoya has gone and done it. He made the protagonist mad. Kenta arrives with the wounded Benkei and informs Ginka about Kyoya's actions. Let's just say this was one of the few moments in the anime when we saw the hot-headed nitwit get angry. Ginka confronts Kyoya, who is now consumed by rage and determined to defeat Ginka and Pegasus. As they battle, a tornado unexpectedly sweeps through the city, bringing Jinka's friends to rally behind him. Despite the fierce fight, Ginka emerges victorious, bringing Kyoya back to his senses. Suddenly, they notice a suspicious helicopter marked with the emblem of Jinka's arch-nemesis, the Dark Nebula, led by Doji. Ginka comes back and informs his friends about Doji's possession of a forbidden Bey, Lightning L-Drago. Guided by Kyoya's tip-off, they reach the Dark Nebula castle and face an ambush by numerous opponents. With Kyoya's assistance once more, they breach the castle doors and prepare for a grueling ascent to the top, anticipating a long and grueling battle ahead. I call this the Dark Nebula arc. After overcoming numerous challenges, Ginka confronts Doji, resulting in a battle that causes one of the castle walls to collapse. However, their struggle is far from over. Ginka's old rival, Ryuga, reveals himself as the new owner of Lightning L-Drago. In their intense battle, Ginka pushes hard to get L-Drago back in his hands, but Ryuga deliberately provokes his anger. The angry Ginka loses control of his emotions and was put down horrendously. Following day, Ginka is haunted by a nightmare in which he battles Ryuga again, only to find himself powerless as L-Drago obliterates him again. He woke up all dark and gloomy, like some kind of emo boy. He tries to hide it, but his friends noticed something was off. They talked about how he was acting kinda weird, unaware that Ginka was listening from upstairs. Eventually, Ginka joins them, and he snatches his burger back from Benkei. Osamu, Takashi, and Akira enter, with Osamu challenging Ginka to a match after improving his Beyblade slightly. Despite Jinka's weary smile, he agrees to the match. As the countdown to the match begins, Ginka keeps seeing Ryuga instead of Osamu, causing him to launch weakly. Osamu easily wins, and Jinka's friends hesitantly congratulate him, suggesting that he might be better than Ginka. Benkei interrupts them, and they hastily leave. Ginka tries to brush off the defeat, but Kenta sees through his facade and attempts to confront him before leaving. Kyoya advises Ginka to spend some time alone, and although Kenta follows him to the riverside, Ginka tells him about his past. Ginka recalls a day in his hometown of Koma, where he wakes to find his father, Ryu Hagane, missing. After searching, he finds his father is in the forest wrestling with a bear. Ryo eventually frees the bear from a branch stuck in its back, and they return to the village to Beyblade together. Ryo gifts Storm Pegasus to Ginka and emphasizes the importance of enjoying battles. Later, Ryo takes Ginka to a ceremony dedicated to Pegasus, where Storm Pegasus lights up torches leading to a sanctuary inside a volcano. However, their joy is interrupted by the arrival of a Ryuga and Doji, who steal Lightning L-Drago. Despite Ryo's efforts to stop them, they escape, leaving Ryo gravely injured. Ginka watches helplessly as Ryo sacrifices himself to ensure Jinka's safety. Devastated by his loss, Ginka is left grieving, determined to avenge his father's sacrifice someday. So we have a protagonist origin story here, and now we know why Ginka is so hell-bent on revenge. Still, after all that heart-to-heart, Ginka decides to disappear. Jinka's disappearance is the reason why Kenta, Madoka, and Kyoya and Benkei start a search mission. But their journey is filled with mishaps and eventually, they end up parting ways. During the journey, they meet a strange person called Hyoma, who saves Kenta and Madoka. Although Kyoya is not convinced, Hyoma says that he knows Ginka, and he volunteers to lead them to Koma Village. While they're walking in the wilderness, Kyoya begins to doubt Hyoma's motives, especially when the road they are taking seems to be a circle. Yet Hyoma at last discloses a surprise fact. He is a former friend of Ginka. On the other hand, Ginka meets an old friend on his way to Koma Village. When they get to Koma Village, they are met by a talking dog named Haikuto, who tells them that Ginka is climbing Mount Hagane in search of a scroll left by a previous Pegasus bearer. At the same time, Ginka finds out the name of the former bearer and gets a very important lesson. Ginka makes his friends follow him to the Bay Forest, thus causing them to be excited. At the same time, Hyoma, the one who is jealous of Jinka's friends, confronts him in a battle at the Greenhade Stadium, and it turns out that he is Jinka's childhood rival who never lost to him. Back from Koma Village, Benkei and Kenta are irritated with Madoka for changing their bays without their permission. Nevertheless, they soon learnt how to switch up the parts, most notably during the aquatic tag team tournament they entered, and the switching parts technique helped them win many of their fights. The tournament becomes a battlefield with a blader who is wiping out the competition with ease. Even with the appearance of the new challengers like Utendo and his bae, Flame Libra, the mystery blader is still undefeated. This ticked off Kenta, Benkei, and Hikaru, who challenged Yu at the same time. Nevertheless, Yu revealed himself to be the one who took down almost 1,000 bladers from the tournament, and he was not about to go down without a fight. In the final stages of the survival battle, Ginka, Kyoya, Yu, and Madoka were left standing as the last contenders. After Madoka's help, Kyoya withdraws from the battle, leaving Ginka and Yu to face off, both unleashing their special moves. But in the end, Yu beats our protagonist and becomes the winner. As the winner, Yu earned his one wish, and he used it to host a tournament to determine the strongest blader in the country. However, he shocks everyone by revealing that he was a member of the Dark Nebula before departing with Doji and Ryuga, who showed their faces just to provoke Ginka. Despite the unsettling announcement, Ginka and his friends decide to get stronger and keep fighting Bladers to earn the 50,000 points needed to qualify for Battle Bladers. They get together at a stadium outside town for one final battle, before parting ways and promising to see each other at the tournament. Now that Ginka was on his pilgrimage to become stronger, he got surrounded by a bunch of dudes who were looking to rob him of his points. These point hunters would have beaten Ginka if not for the appearance of Tsubasa and his bae, Earth Eagle. They quickly become friends and share Beyblading tips, but there is more to Tsubasa than he lets on. Everyone is racking up their points to reach the minimum 50,000 needed to enter the tournament. Kenta, Benkei, Tobio, Tetsuya, and the rest are all making great headway, and so is Ginka. Here is where things get interesting. Kenta and Hyoma cross paths at a dueling tournament, each battling in different stadiums. Kenta in the forest and Hyoma in the river. However, Hyoma's match is abruptly interrupted by Yu, who demands a battle. Meanwhile, after winning his own tournament, Kenta is challenged by Tsuba. Despite their best efforts, both Kenta and Hyoma were defeated by their opponents. Later, the villainous Tetsuya follows Yu back to the Dark Nebula headquarters, where Doji seizes the opportunity to upgrade Tetsuya's bae into Dark Gasher as part of an experiment. In a subsequent tournament, Tetsuya resorts to cheating to defeat Benkei, but faces a loss against Ginka. During another tournament, Kenta encounters Sora, a skilled but impatient battler. Claiming to be Jinka's apprentice, Sora wields his bae, Storm Pegasus, and tries to replicate Pegasus' special move, albeit unsuccessfully. Despite his efforts, Sora creates his special move Avalanche Boost, but is ultimately defeated by Kenta in the tournament. The wannabe did have some tricks up his sleeve, to say the least.
I'm gonna go get a bagel.
Yeah.
You want something?
No, I'm good.
All right, okay.
I'm good. All right, okay.
After parting ways to rack up their points, Ginka and the rest of the gang meet up at this big tournament to keep collecting their points. Suddenly, the mood turns mysterious when a blader named Ryutaro begins telling fortunes in a weird little corner of the stadium. Ginka faces off against Ryutaro, devising a new move to defeat him and his bae, Thermal Pisces. Meanwhile, 4 matches were going on in the tournament. As Hikaru and Kyoya start their match, the others, preoccupied with congratulating Ginka, have a run-in with Yu. Tsubasa then appears, revealing to the group that he and Yu are both affiliated with the Dark Nebula. Despite their shock, Tsuba leaves without much explanation, telling Yu to follow him. Kyoya beats Hikaru in their match, while Tsuba takes the victory against Benkei. Kenta takes on the twins Dan and Raiki, who wield the new bae, Evil Gemios. Although the twins initially seem to have the upper hand, their squabbling allows Kenta to secure the win. Yu wins his battle too, but complains about the lack of actual good opponents that Tsubasa and Kenta faced in their matches.
I read about
The final 6 contestants, Ginka, Kenta, Kyoya, Yu, Tsubasa, and Hyoma, are told to fight in a battle royale by Doji, whose primary goal is to assess Tsubasa and Yu's cooperation. However, their animosity towards each other derails the plan, resulting in a chaotic battle where they accidentally eliminate Hyoma. Eventually, Kyoya emerges as the victor after defeating Kenta with a single decisive blow. After the tournament finishes, the friends go their separate ways, while the Dark Nebula members return to their base. Yu is still angry at Tsubasa, but their conflict takes a backseat when Tetsuya steals Jinka's point counter. A new blader named Phoenix comes into the fray, offering to return the counter only if Ginka can defeat him. Despite his best efforts, Ginka loses to Phoenix, who destroys his point counter in front of his eyes. Back to square one it is for our boy. Meanwhile, in another storyline, Ryuga embarks on a quest to accumulate 50,000 points for entry into Battle Bladers. He effortlessly defeats many opponents, including Benkei, Tobio, and Ryutaro, securing his place in the tournament. Tsubasa and Yu, tasked with guarding Ryuga, face challenges of their own, leading to a confrontation with Doji and an unexpected encounter with Ryuga himself. With everyone else having earned 50,000 points except Ginka, they set their sight on a nearby tournament. However, they encounter Tsubasa, who has ulterior motives. Sensing something is amiss, Tsubasa engages the group, leading them to realize it's a diversion. After being saved by Phoenix, Tsubasa is conflicted but resolves to defeat Ryuga. However, he's instructed first to familiarize himself with Ginka's friends. Kenta shows unwavering loyalty to Ginka, but Ginka surprises everyone by refusing to abandon his friends. Amidst the confusion, Phoenix reappears. Tsubasa suffers a crushing defeat against Phoenix, prompting Ginka to accept a challenge. The stakes are high. If Ginka wins, he regains his lost points. If he loses, he must retire from Beyblade. Now Ginka doesn't lose twice, and he proved that in his match. He wins and Phoenix gives him all his points back. 95,000 points was on his counter now. So, here we go, Battle Bladers. Okay, so Battle Bladers starts and Ginka slowly but surely climbs his way to the top to fight his true rival, Ryuga. Oh, and I'm going to be skipping over the parts where his friends grew themselves and helped him reach there, and how Phoenix was not actually an antagonist, but was actually Jinka's own dad. Yes, he didn't die, but moving on. The truth is, Ryuga defeated every one of Ginka's friends, and that ticked him off. But not like before. This time, he was focused on winning with Pegasus, and all the techniques he learned along the way. Ginka steps up alone in the final battle against Ryuga. The battle starts on a stage suspended in the air, where Ginka struggles initially against Ryuga's relentless barrage of attacks. Despite unleashing his two special moves, Ryuga still had L-Drago spinning at full speed. As Ryuga tries to unleash more of the power of L-Drago, his transformation begins, turning him into a monstrous form with glowing red eyes and emanating an aura of darkness. The once human Ryuga becomes a vessel for L-Drago's overwhelming power, his very essence consumed by the relentless force of the Bay. Witnessing Ryuga's agony, Ginka's friends rush to his aid, lending their strength to his cause. However, as Ryuga battles against the control of L-Drago, his struggle intensifies. His mind and his body are consumed by the dark power. In a desperate attempt to save Ryuga and defeat L-Drago, Ginka taps into his Blader's spirit, unleashing his most powerful move yet, Galaxy Nova. The sheer force of the attack fractures L-Drago's hold on Ryuga, sending both Bladers hurtling towards the ground from great heights. Miraculously, Ginka is saved by his loyal Bay, Pegasus, while Ryuga is returned to his former self, the dark power drained from his being. Though Pegasus vanishes after the battle, Ryo assures Ginka that its spirit will endure, ready to soar once more. With Ryuga rescued and hope restored, Ginka and his friends look towards the future, knowing that the bonds of friendship and the strength of their Blader spirit will always prevail. And that is where the first season of the Beyblade Metal Saga ends. Though Pegasus may have disappeared, it did come back in the next season with all new upgrades like a pimped out car. Well, that about wraps it up for the recap of Beyblade Metal Fusion. We hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more amazing Blast from the Past content. I'll see you in the next one.